Welcome to PCTV. I'm Nizar
And I'm Jared.
and today on PCTV we're going to be showing you a few kind of technical things. Like, what are we going over, Jared?
Well, we wanted to look at the BIOS.
What is the BIOS?
The BIOS. And the BIOS is your basic input-output system. Think of it as a really simple, low-level operating system for your computer.
Right.
So it allows you to configure really low-level hardware settings about the device before your operating system, Windows, even loads.
So the BIOS, this is the thing where when you first start up your computer, you'll see a thing saying press F9 or some other F function key in order to get into your BIOS. It's just like the shell that comes up prior to your operating system loading. So before Windows pops up or before any other operating system pops up, you'll get your BIOS settings pop up first, correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
So it used to have to, in the heydays of computing, deal with the BIOS a lot. Now you don't really. However, we were going to show a couple of useful things if you wanted to boot a different operating system or rebuild your computer.
Sure.
So there's some things there.
And that's when the BIOS is crucial.
Okay. So, Nizar, we have here a slightly older laptop.
Yes, it is.
And we're going to go into the BIOS. You have to be quick when the computer's starting up to hit the right key.
It'll tell you what key to push, but it's very quick, so you have to make sure that you're ready to hit that function key, whatever it tells you it is. So let's turn it on.
Okay, this one's F2, so we'll see how we go.
Turn it on. Hit F2 as soon as it pops up.
And we're going in, and
And
here we are.
there's your BIOS.
Okay, so yeah, this is the sort of more standard and older style BIOS. In here, it'll give you basic hardware information about your machine. And we can move through to show you the clock. The clock is very important.
Now, when you're moving through, are you just tabbing or are you moving with the arrow?
I'm using the little arrow keys.
Right, okay.
Everything's on the keyboard here.
And the tabs are on across the top of the page, as you can see: information, main, security, boot, exit.
That's right. So
Now, for this particular demonstration, what we want to do is we want to get into the boot setup, because we want to, let's say that you want to load an operating system from disk or reinstall your operating system or put in another operating system, then you need to make it boot from the disk. As you can see here, it says that it's booting from the IDE HDD. Well, that's your hard drive, and that's where your operating system is stored.
So it's got this priority order here. So you can change that and set which data devices the computer will look at first in order to find an operating system to load. So, generally you would want the hard drive because that's where your operating system is installed. But some operating systems, like some Linux versions, you can boot from a USB device.
Yep.
Or you may want the computer to look at the CD-ROM or DVD first if you're reinstalling Windows or something.
And when you highlight each one of those options, it gives you a little explanation as to what it does.
That's right. So that's pretty important. So in this case, we would probably, so F5, F6 to change values. See how we're moving them around here?
Yeah, so the bottom bar down the bottom tells you exactly what you need to press in order to change those values.
So if we wanted to do a CD thing, for example, I would just change the IDE hard drive, HDD here, and flip it over with the IDE CD. So
That's
there's
right.
a CD-ROM, and if you put a CD, it would try to read from there first, and it would find a setup for a new version of Windows or something.
Excellent.
So that's the older BIOS.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you make any changes, you exit saving them.
And I also remember on some of these old BIOSes, you could actually, if you wanted to have your numlock key locked in, so you've got numlock happening, then that would actually, you could change that in the BIOS, which was really cool because my passwords used to use just numbers, so I needed to do that.
Yeah. All right, so maybe we should look at a little more modern BIOS.
Yeah, let's have a look at a graphical interface BIOS. Okay, so now we're going to look at a graphical BIOS because this is a much more modern motherboard and hardware.
Yeah.
And let's have a look how it looks.
Sure. This one's a gigabyte, and we need to hit delete to get into this one. And it's still the same. You have to do it pretty quick.
As fast as you can. As soon as it pops up, hit that delete button.
So it's going to come alive in a minute. We would hope. Here we go. Hitting delete. And here we are. This is a UEFI BIOS. So you can see it shows you a graphical representation of the motherboard, and you can go through and essentially click on the components that you want to alter.
Wow.
So it's come along a little ways.
Come a long way since the text, hasn't it?
Yes, it certainly has. Now, this is a gigabyte board, so it's a proprietary thing, but a lot of the other manufacturers like Asus and so forth are doing similar stuff.
That's right. They've all got they each have their own type of proprietary graphical interface, but it always covers the same things.
This one has got a lot of settings for overclocking, which
Yep.
is something people want to do for gaming machines and so forth a lot. But it still also has the same features as we saw before. We can go through various bits here, and you can see here's the boot option priorities, just like we saw before.
So once again, if you get into this section, you can always change your boot order so that it doesn't necessarily have to boot up directly from the hard drive. You can boot up from a USB or from a CD-ROM or DVD, and that's exactly why we're here.
That's right. So looking here, we've got the Windows installation as the primary
Yep.
device, it's the boot manager. But if we wanted to force it to say read from the DVD, we could change this to this Pioneer DVD, and it'll look there before looking to the hard drive.
So you need to look for the manufacturer of your DVD there in that instance because it came up as Pioneer, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We've also got some other settings these days around power management,
Yeah.
you know, to save power, things will
Sure.
hibernate, go to sleep, and so forth. Sometimes you don't want that, so you want to switch it off. But
Yeah.
yeah, same sort of features, more to do, and of course it's got this nifty
3D graphical interface. That's crazy good. Now, as we said, for the purposes of what we're doing, we only want to change the boot order priority, and you really don't want, if you're not well versed in your computer system, then you don't want to play around in here too much because
that's right.
you might cause some problems. However, if you do need to boot off a DVD or a USB, then this is the place to go.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. I like your interface.
Thanks.